Hello, welcome back. I wanted to let you know that you are catching this episode being recorded in real time. I often do some batching and get ahead of myself in a nice, perfect world where I have a lot of content ready to go. But I wanted to make sure that on occasion, I'm creating some episodes that are really what I like to call entrepreneurship in real life. So these episodes are a little bit like behind the scenes, what's going on with me, things I'm thinking about, things I want to share with you that may have some maybe a little more personal in nature and business and how it can apply to you. Because let's be honest, we have to deal with both of those things as we are navigating this thing called business. And especially right now, because it is summertime. And I don't know about you, but in the summer, I don't feel as motivated to work at all. So I want to talk about some important reminders, 3 top reminders that will help you keep your business running in the summer so that when you get to September, you are ahead of the game and not feeling like you're playing catch up, not like when you take time off of work and you come back in and you have all these unread emails and you're like, what do I even start? So just so that you can continue rolling through this time of the year, these are 3 things that I want to share with you. So number 1 is to be flexible with your schedule. Now, you may already be really great at this, and if you are, please reach out to me and give me some tips, but I have always struggled with figuring out my work schedule with children. And what I know for sure is that it is something that changes every season of sports or school or summer or winter or like whatever kind of season that it is. And so acknowledging that is the first important thing. And for me this year, I decided to do an experiment and I think it was a bit of a fail, but I didn't put my kids in camp all summer. Like I put them in some camps, but not the entire summer. Normally I would make sure that they had childcare every single day so that I could work every single day. And this year I just thought, I don't want to. I don't necessarily want to work every day. And I think my kids are older now. They're 8 and 10. We just celebrated my little one's 8th birthday last week. And I figure, they're fairly self-sustaining. They can get their own snacks and I can work part days. So that was my idea. I'm going to just work in the morning and then in the afternoon, we're either going to do something fun or get groceries or whatever it is with the kids. But I will just have shorter days of work. It was really challenging. I did not love the times when the kids were not at camp. So for a couple of weeks in July, they weren't at camp. They were always in and out, and then they ended up having like neighbors and a bunch of other friends over. And there's always like so many kids in my house and I was trying to work and it just was not great. So I'm pretty excited that they have camps coming up and I know that they are like scheduled childcare for the rest of August and that feels good. So that I can kind of sit down and crank out a few more things that I want to get done. Because what I find is like, depending on what kind of work you have, if you have to use your brain and be strategic and be trying to sort of think through big things, you need to not have that interrupted regularly, which can be challenging if your kids are at home. So I'm looking forward to having some of that time to record some more podcast episodes, do some of my own internal revamping, which I'm working on, which I told you about before, my hot biz summer, which is upgrading all of my offers and new things are coming out starting in September. And I'm really excited about it. And I just need to have some time to spend doing it. So this whole idea of being flexible, I think it applies all year long, but for me, even more so in the summertime. So not having that I think the feeling is if you feel like you're not working as much as you think you should or you wanted to, that's the problem. If you give yourself some grace and flexibility, it becomes a little bit more easy to manage, which sort of takes me into my second point, which is the actual need to take time to recoup. Now, we did a bunch of vacations already this year. Like I've been to Hawaii and Phoenix and Palm Springs, and I'm certainly not short on vacation, but I like vacation. I think it's important. I prioritize trying to get 6 weeks of vacation a year as an entrepreneur because I don't have a boss telling me when I can and can't work, which is amazing. And right now I'm mostly frustrated that my husband does, which means that I either need to go places by myself or with my kids by myself or, suck it up. But ultimately, this whole idea is that giving yourself permission to work less. And that's really challenging. Generally speaking, as entrepreneurs, we're very ambitious. We have a lot of goals. We are really good at, pushing ourselves and throwing ourselves fully into something. But it's so important to take that time and take that space and use that energy towards something that is like healing, therapeutic, relaxing for yourself. Recently, I took up paddleboarding, which I'm so excited about. I absolutely love it. And I need to get out more. Like, what was the point of buying the paddleboard if it's just going to sit in my garage all year and I'm not going to get to use it, right? So giving myself permission to work less is almost like sometimes I have to trick my brain and do things like write that on my list. Like this week, I would like to go golfing with my dad in the daytime while my kids are at camp and not feel guilty about it. So if I put it on a to-do list, that's one way of making give myself permission to do it. So as we know, your business has different seasons that coincide with sort of what your product or service are sometimes, what the market is doing. Summer tends to be a slower time in most industries. So using this time to really get yourself fully, re-energized so that you can like put your foot down for the last quarter of the year is always a really great idea. So you have that energy to take into September, that whole, like there's that whole, September is like a January, and there's, studies that show this. People have that same sort of renewed energy in September with the whole back to school feeling, the whole idea of like, let's finish crushing our goals by the end of the year, which is really great. So it's a really great time in the summer to do some of that behind the scenes work, which is why I'm sharing that I'm doing it with my own business. And I've offered the opportunity to some clients. And if you're still interested in this, please reach out to me to work directly with me on your own hot biz summer, which is the opportunity to look at your offer suite, look at your marketing plan, figure out exactly who it is you are targeting so that you can double down on that in September and beyond, so that you can get those clients and really boost up your business the way that you want to and grow it the way that you want to with a really strategic focused plan. That's what we're doing inside of Hot Biz Summer as a container, which I love that I'm doing it for myself and with clients at the same time. So September, I'm so pumped about it. It's also my birthday month, so I always love September anyways. So we will have new offers coming from KS & Co. through Entrepreneur School, and that is something that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. And I'm not going to spill the beans too much more right now. So the last thing that I want to share before we wrap up this short episode is, though it's summer and though you need to take breaks and though you need to slow down, potentially be more flexible about what you're doing and give yourself a lot more grace about, the to-do list and the things that you're checking off or not checking off, I still challenge you to stay consistent in some way, shape, or form. You need to not like close the book on your business and say, I'll pick it back up in September, but like see what you can do that would be a regular, consistent action for you. Now, there is certainly no prescription for this. I absolutely despise it when people say, you need to just do 16 stories on Instagram and 3 posts and 5 reels and spend 20 minutes engaging with people every day. Like, bleh. No, I don't believe that is sustainable at all. So you need to figure out what is going to work for you. And I've been doing an experiment here where I'm doing daily external facing actions that move the needle. Now, we've talked a lot about taking messy action on this podcast, and that means doing things that involve somebody else. So whether you're sharing something out there, putting a post on social media that puts yourself into somebody's line of sight, or whether you're connecting with somebody who could be a potential collaborator or a potential client for you, these things are really, really important. They really do make a difference. So I'm doing this while juggling, figuring out when I'm going to go paddleboarding, figuring out when I'm going to go golfing, and figuring out if my kids even brush their teeth today, which 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. But I decided that no, I need to keep this up. And as we shared in an episode a couple of weeks ago, was our 30th episode of Entrepreneur School, which is mind blowing. I can't believe we've been doing this for 6 months already. And I wanted to share that success. And I know I have a PR degree, so I do know that this is a relevant conversation to be having with local media. And while I have pitched media tons and tons of times, as a consultant for my clients, I have personal relationships with a lot of the media here in Cochrane. As a result of that, I was still nervous to put my own story out there, to share about my own business and just shine the spotlight on myself. So I get that feeling, like we have a hard time doing that, right? We want to be modest. We know it's not a big deal. If somebody else says it's a big deal, go ahead. But it's hard to make yourself say that it's a big deal. But I did it, and I pitched the podcast anniversary to the local media, and I ended up getting radio coverage, 2 online articles, and print. It went in the print paper, which even had a front page preview. My picture is literally on the front page of last week's Cochrane Eagle, beside a giant picture of our local country music Hall of Fame celebrity, George Fox, which is super cool. So, and I was just blown away actually by the coverage that I got. The article was a half page in a newspaper. And typically, as a PR person, what I would have to do with my clients before is sort of measure the value of that, which means you measure it against the price of an advertisement of that size in that publication. So that's a big investment that I got for free. I should have looked up what that actually would equate to, but it's for sure thousands of dollars of coverage. And people have reached out to me directly as a result of seeing me in the paper, even if it's just, family friends who were like, yay, I saw your face, you're local famous. So that was nice, but it just goes to show that when you put yourself out there, you can see some results, and you can see them even quickly, which is amazing. So I'm pretty proud of that, having done that, even though I didn't really want to. And little secret tip, I do know how to write a press release. Yes, this is something I was definitely trained in doing, but I didn't write it myself. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to write it for me, giving it the context, giving it the explanation of what it was. And it wrote something way more exciting and boisterous than I would have ever written about myself. So there's a tip for you. And actually, AI, I've just been doing a lot of learning and studying on how to use it properly. And it's quite amazing for you when you're a solopreneur, because sometimes you just need to not be staring at a blank screen. You need to have something to give you some input. And it's a great starting point for your social media content, for if you need to do a press release, if you got to write a blog, if you're looking for podcast ideas. After this, I'm going to put my podcast transcript through it and get the show notes done and ask it for suggestions for the title of this episode. So it is something that I've been using, and I did use it for this purpose, which made it easier to send it out because I wasn't, filtering myself through the whole process of writing the press release, which I think was really helpful in getting it to a place where I was comfortable to send it out. And then I was comfortable to do the interviews afterwards, because I've practiced doing things like this, practice speaking about what I do, talking about it, speaking, knowing how to share key messages. These are all important things to learn how to do, and that you get practiced at when you start being really consistent about showing up with content or in conversations with other people. You just need to talk about your business every single day with somebody. So whether that's by sharing a social media post, by getting on a networking call, by going to an event and meeting a stranger, or by talking to your uncle at Sunday dinner, at a family dinner, like that all counts. Practice talking about what you do, and you will sound more confident and you will feel more confident in that conversation moving forward. And that honestly leads to you being able to get more clients, land more clients, confidently sell yourself, all of those things. So I hope that you are having an amazing summer. I would love to hear what you are up to, how you're planning, how you're navigating through the summer with your kiddos at home, and what you're planning for September. So make sure you reach out on Instagram. You can contact us through the Entrepreneur School podcast page, or personally, I spend a lot of time at ksco_Kelly. So I do invite you into my DMs to say hi. Let me know you heard this episode. If you're new here because you found me in the Cochrane media in the last week, welcome. Thank you. Please say hi. I really am here to connect, and I love hearing from people, and I love when people accept the invitation and the challenge to reach out, because it totally counts as external facing action that you need to do more of in order to grow your business. We'll see you next week.